I trust that you guys already watched our introductory lesson yesterday. Persons and family relations is divided into two parts. First is the persons, which covers the first part of the civil code, and family relations, which in turn is covered by the family code. Persons, along with obligations and contracts, are the two civil law subjects covered in your first year in law school. They are offered first precisely because they lay down the foundation of civil law. And once you know persons together with obligations and contracts, you will have an excellent working knowledge for civil law subjects such as sales and lease, transportation, mga public utilities laws, torts and damages, credit transactions, among others. Now, I have been lucky to be under Dean Almase and Attorney Joselito Alo in most of my civil law subjects when I was still in law school. So allow me to share with you what I have learned from them and in the past years as a professor of persons and family relations. Again, the study of persons and family relations starts out with the new civil code. While persons and family relations main text refers to marriage and its consequences, there are also other issues that are sources of bar exams questions. And I learned from Dean Almase that the preliminary title, which is actually divided into two chapters, will help you see through the law as it introduces you to the world of so many laws. The chapter on effects and applications of the law will help you understand the law because instead of just defining the law, it actually states, or this chapter actually states, the effects and its application. And this best exemplifies the maxim, jure lex, sed lex, or the law may be harsh, but it is still the law. The chapter on human relations on one hand would tell us that the law should be interpreted not on the letter but on its spirit. Kanaingon nato nga the law should not be interpreted by the words that killeth but by the spirit that giveth life. The spirit in this case is that which is idealized in the sense of justice. So basically, these are the concepts that you will see manifesting in some provisions of the law and also in the decisions of the Supreme Court. So let's start. Article 1 provides that this act shall be known as the Civil Code of the Philippines. So I think this doesn't have to be explained because this only tells us the name or the title of the code, which is the Civil Code of the Philippines. Now we go to Article 2. This actually says that laws shall take effect after 15 days. After 15 days following the completion of their publication either in the official gazette or in a newspaper of general circulation unless it is otherwise provided. We will focus on this particular provision this evening, no? And I'd like to approach this by answering the questions what, why, when, how, where, so on and so forth. So we will read this law by considering how will this dictate or affect the applications of law. Okay? So let's start first with what aspect of effectivity. When you say aspect of effectivity, this actually talks about the effectivity of laws from the viewpoint of publication. Now, why is there a need for publication? This is in order to satisfy the due process requirement. Now, another question. What laws? The term laws, what does it mean? Does this cover all the laws? Ningon ang Tañada versus Tuvera, this means generally all laws, not only those of general application, but all laws, okay? Except, of course, those that are of interpretative character, such as interpretative regulations, mga internal rules, or instructions. Now, the next question would be, how is this published man? Pwede ba nga the title lang of the law? Pwede bang a piecemeal of the law, a part of the law? Niingon ang balaod or niingon ang Supreme Court, everything must be published, okay? It must be published completely. Now, the next question, where? Where do we publish it? It is either in the official gazette or in a newspaper of general circulation. Now, we go on to the very point of this provision, which is answering the question, when does it take effect? Okay? Article 2 would provide that laws shall take effect after 15 days following the publication. So the rule that laws must be published before they can become effective was actually laid down by the Supreme Court in the case of Tañada versus Tuvera. What happened here is this. Sometime in 1980s, Tañada with a group of lawyers actually came to court and claimed that they have a list of presidential decrees issued by former President Marcos. And according to them, these presidential decrees were not published. And invoking the right of the people to be informed on matters of public concern, as well as the principle that laws to be valid and enforceable must be published in the official gazette, Tañada and his group actually filed for a case to compel the public officials concerned to publish or cause to publish various presidential decrees, mga letters of instructions, general orders, proclamations, executive orders, letters of implementation, and administrative orders issued by the then President Marcos. The Solicitor General in this case, representing the government and its officials, moved for the dismissal of the case, contending that Tañada and his fellow lawyers have no legal personality to bring the instant case. Okay, but we will not dwell on the legal personality. Let's just focus on the second issue or the main issue that Tañada or the Solgen actually raised in this case. The Solgen basically said that Article 2 provides that unless it is otherwise provided, then it should not be declared invalid because the law provides for the phrase unless it is otherwise provided. So how did the Supreme Court decide on this case? Let's see. So the Supreme Court said the publication of all presidential issuances of a public nature or of general applicability is mandated by law. Obviously, presidential decrees that provide for fines, forfeitures, or penalties for their violation or otherwise impose a burden to the people, such as tax and revenue measures, fall within this category. Other presidential issuances which apply only to particular persons or class of persons such as administrative and executive orders need not be published on the assumption that they have been circularized to all concerned individuals. The provision or the publication of presidential issuances of public nature or of general applicability is a requirement of due process. It is a rule of law that before a person may be bound by law, he must first be officially and specifically informed of its contents. Remember this that the case of Tañada versus Tuvera said that the clause unless it is otherwise provided refers to the date of effectivity and not the publication requirement, which cannot and will not in any event be omitted. This clause does not mean that the legislator may make the law effective immediately upon approval or on any other date without its previous publication. The court said and declared that presidential issuances of general application in this case, which have not been published, have no force and effect. So the question now is this: when do laws become effective? So there are three ways to answer this. First, whenever the law provides. Second, if no effectivity is provided, then it should be after 15 days following the publication. And then if it provides that it shall become effective immediately, it shall mean that it shall be effective upon publication. Okay? Tagsa-tagsaon ni nato. Now, what do we mean when we say whenever the law so provides? Now, an example, Ane, would be this, okay? A law is passed that actually imposes a tax on individuals with uyab, okay? Double the amount to the tax paid by single individuals, okay? And then the law provides that it shall become effective on October 5, 2020. So, if the President approves it and signs it into law, let's say in September 23, in October 5, 2020, it becomes effective. Okay? Because the law so provides. Mo na siya pasabot anang first instance. And of course, we should not forget that it has to be published. Okay? The requirement of publication must not be omitted and must not be dispensed with even if the law specifically provides for the date of effectivity. Now, what if there's no effectivity clause? What if there is nothing in the law that actually provides for the date of its effectivity? Now, we go to Article 2, which actually provides that laws shall take effect after 15 days following the publication or following the completion of its publication. An example, Ani, would be this. A law that imposes a tax on individuals with uyab double the amount to the taxes or to the tax paid by those who are single. And it was signed by the President, let's say on September 23, 2020, and published on September 24, 2020. The law has no effectivity clause, so it becomes effective on October 9, 2020, that is 15 days or after 15 days following the completion of its publication or on the 16th day of publication. I hope that's clear. Now, what if the law would say it shall take effect immediately upon approval? What does this mean? So, this actually means that this is actually settled in the case of Labugal Balaan Tribal Association Incorporated, wherein the Supreme Court would tell us that when the law says effective immediately upon approval, it becomes effective immediately upon the publication. Supreme Court or the Supreme Court further said that what is mandatory and what due process requires is that the law must first be published in either the official gazette or in a newspaper of general circulation. So that concludes the recap of my class earlier, guys. If you have questions, you may send me a private message or you may chat me at our teams in the Teams class, or you may drop your comments in the comment section. Thank you very much. Amping.